Alright, so I'm just going to do my daily review today. Today I was looking at MU, which had decent earnings, had a pretty big gap up, but it just kind of failed on the open and couldn't really get and stay above VWAP. And then we had the Qs, which were kind of selling off, so couldn't find a way to get involved there. We also had JD, which also gapped up. It also sold off pretty hard and couldn't also find a way to get involved there. What I did take today was on NVDA, small size here. And so I just saw that we had this sort of consolidation here. And then the tape was getting very aggressive above this level here. So it just got along with a stop, I think, below the low of day. Probably should have actually had my stop just below the bottom of that range, but just a 3% small risk here. And it immediately went in my favor and did an opening range break that was pretty extended on the opening range break. And so I thought about parceling, but the thing is, like, this was just a 1-to-1 trade. So I was like, well, maybe we'll get like a second chance and then continue higher after we got that volume. But it instead just went low of day. So, I know the market is very range bound right now. So maybe just trade from one to the end, not expect too much. So I knew I should have taken off size into, this move. But just because I think I didn't have my stop properly located, it was just a 1-hour trade instead of a 2-hour trade. So I think I made a mistake there. Managing that, I did get out, for a small win here, but could have had more in this one. Then the only other trade I took, and NVIDIA and like the Qs were kind of like selling off. And so I was looking, we had an opening range break, I think on the 2-minute. And yeah, on the 2-minute, we had an opening range break. So I was looking at getting short into this area, but it was just being very choppy. I couldn't find a way to get in. So I didn't do anything. And then later in the day, it really started selling off. And you can see here in the 2-minute, we got some pretty significant volume. On the 5-minute, it's actually the second highest volume candle of the day. You got some rubber band type extension. It was 0.6 RVol, ATR from VWAP with 21 average RSI. So I get long on the quadruple bar break on the 2-minute here. And immediately went in my favor and put in a backside. And then we were able to hold this trend here and then get above or back right to the backside. And I really thought that we were going to break, and I just had a fat finger here, but I thought once we broke this backside, like our probability should be very high in order to hit VWAP, but it wasn't able to. And it loses trend, it loses. I had an opening candle you see here outside of the trend line, as well as outside of the 9 EMA on the 5-minute. It's actually a 5-minute here. So just exiting as we lose trend and lose the 9 EMA. So I feel like it was very well positioned in order to get a pretty clean, this would be like a 3R, something like that trade, and even higher if it continued to push, but it just kind of failed. So I was up a lot on this one and ended up being a small winner, but I thought this was a really solid trade. It ended up doing a double bottom. It flushes for a double bottom and then right to VWAP. So difficult trading environment still, but I thought. All right, we'll watch JD and MU. $11 RVol, JD is at like 12. And it's like a nice technical breakout here as well. So we have GD, which might give me a nice EMA continuation. So I will watch for that, and then have MU. It's a big failure on MU down into VWAP and down into new lows. So we don't like to see it. JD, Qs are dumping really hard. So already it's like doing things that I wouldn't want to see. I don't want to see something aggressively push right off the open and then start selling. I feel like with MU, you really don't have. I think it's just kind of trended up all day, so I don't really have anything to base off of. I'm just going to go long here, stop just below 126, low day. So this is an opening range break, but it is deeply extended. It's about a 1 hour trade right now. So pulling back a little bit here after a really big move, and then Qs look like they're going to do an opening range break. I've had this happen before where I had a decent trade and then I think I'm in a good position because of, where it is. People are looking for an area to get involved, but it just gave back its entire move just now. And again, you have Qs that are doing like an opening range break right now. So how is NVIDIA going to So Qs are still doing stuff. Arms super choppy. But NVIDIA is still very strong, so it's only 1.3 R vol. Very choppy though. And I will looking to probably get out of this trade soon because it's too choppy. Also using, a small amount of risk here. So Qs are still looking like they're in kind of a dangerous spot. Got about 10 more seconds for a new candle and still holding above VWAP. Qs are not. I'll just exit here. I feel like these are a type of trades I really shouldn't be in. If I do, I should take quick profits, but Like, I know I should be taking profits on moves like this in this environment, but that's why I shouldn't be taking these trades, because if I'm taking this with a stop below day, my risk to reward on this move was like 1. Hmm. I think from an opening range break perspective, this is pretty clean. We didn't really get volume on the opening range break candle. I just feel like it's being too choppy. So if it breaks through this candle, this is a second chance on an opening range break. Volume profile is not good, and it's too choppy, but it still is an opening range break. So perhaps I will take this thing on small size. So 491. I'll take it on for small size. Break of 491. Big rebid candle off of NVDA. Should have took my profits. Maybe instead of like low a day, I should be entering here for this consolidation area. And then that would have given me like a 2-hour trade, take profits, and reset to see if it's gonna base out. All right, guys, I have been watching this, been in work meetings and so forth, but keeping a close eye on this. NVIDIA is just doing a backside right now, break, while Qs have already done a backside break, heading toward target at VWAP at 490. This was a tough hold here, this consolidation. I thought it was going to break through 67, but it wasn't. It was able to eventually reclaim and had an open above the 90 MA on the 5-minute, and that's when we really started to see momentum come in here. Went right up to the top of the backside, consolidated, and then broke out. So pretty clean right now, just holding until the target of VWAP. So I'm gonna partial out pretty heavily, depending on how we get into VWAP. We would just go and have a momentum push right into VWAP. Then I'll probably partial out 75%. But this thing could go higher, and we could have one of our talking. Now it's starting to dump here. But we could have one of our, sort of reversion days where we sell off and we get bought back up and closes high a day. Who knows? So don't like this volume that comes in on the selling, but I think as long as we hold the top of this backside, then we're still clean. Whether or not we will, it's not looking promising at the moment. We still have NVIDIA that has been just barely holding trend. Starting to lose trend on the 2-minute. Only doing one RVol. Q's at 0.96. RVol's just one RVol as well. We're back to the 90 MA, back to trend line here, and looks like NVIDIA is selling, not able to make it to VWAP. We have Qs here that have this nice trend. So I would expect trend to hold, and we also are at the 90 MA. So this very well could rebid off of here and then come back and break through this top that it put in at 489 and then finally come in touch. Or it could just start selling off here. So we did get to open below the 90 MA on the 5-minute. We're right at trend on the 1-minute. Nice rebid on Q's. NVDA is still, it's gonna lose this trend and then see if where it can rebase, but Q's right now are still holding trend. Just really trying to be patient with this. I think my entry is super solid here. And it's not doing anything wrong. Put it in the backside, broke through the backside, wasn't able to hold it. And I think as long as it's holding trend, I think it's not doing anything wrong. I definitely don't think that it should be losing the 90 MA after it rescinds it. But would really think that should be able to touch VWAP. I mean, that's the minimum that you sort of expect to come up and fail VWAP would be, I feel like, pretty weak. Because if you think about it, like it hasn't been at VWAP since the open, just holds below all day, sells off, attempts to make VWAP, fails, and then just go low of day. Like that would show, I feel like, and this is after a gap up, 1.5% gap up on the Qs. So it's like we're getting some buying here on the rebid of the 90 MA. So probably you got people entering here, just back above the backside after rebid on trend. So a lot of good things there. And so you could probably just have a stop here. And hey, if this doesn't hold the backside now, we're going to lose trend. We're going to lose everything. So it's probably a decent high probability trade here. Some traders might be taking. NVIDIA still does not look good. See, NVIDIA looks like it's about to fall off the cliff. Qs look much better. Holding trend, rebidding off a trend, back above the backside. So this is kind of a break, a retest, and then going higher. So I think that if we get the break of this 189, so like right here, we get the break of this 189, then the next step should be 490, which would just be a retest of this prior resistance area. So definitely think that we should be able to reach 490 after we break 489 after a consolidation period. So it's just a slow, passive sort of grind back up to VWAP. Having said that, you're definitely having a race against time here. So we are at a 5-minute, we just got a new 5-minute candle and we're right at trend. And I think that if you lose this trend, I mean, I can't stand this. It could, fail and then come back and rebid and eventually make it, but I'm gonna have to exit before it does that. I think I've been very patient with this trade, given it a lot of leeway, and it is profitable, so I just will have to take my profits. And the other thing that I know is in the back of my mind right now is if this can reach VWAP and I hold the whole amount till VWAP, this will probably be my largest P&L or a band. So I'm always just trying to push myself, but doesn't look promising right now. NVIDIA really starting to sell off. Lost trend and now it's selling. Still holding trend right now. I think if you start selling here, 71. All right, probably gonna stop out here at 71. Really be great if NVIDIA can rebid and start to hold. Push higher, put in a higher low, but I'm not going to wait for a higher low to be put in on Qs. We look like we're at a very fragile spot here. And either buying needs to start happening or I'm going to dump and probably other people will as well. If this doesn't go higher in 40 seconds, we are going to lose our trend line. We're going to have a 5-minute candle open outside of trend. sold half here. We're gonna have a 5-minute candle open outside the trend here, and I expect that this thing is gonna dump. It already started like preemptively dumping. So open outside. Hitting me. And I have half of my risk on. Looks like it's rebidding on the 2-minute. And I'm just gonna exit the rest of my position here. It needs to reclaim trend in this backside. NVIDIA is continuing to go lower. All right, now